But we do begin with the Supreme Court hearing arguments today on President Biden's plan to forgive nearly $500 billion in federal student loan debt. A group of Republican-led states are suing the Biden administration over the plan, saying it's expensive and unfair and an abuse of power. The Biden administration says those states don't even have the standing to sue in the first place. Joining me now, ABC News senior national policy correspondent Ann Flaherty, also Jay O'Brien, who covers the Hill for us. So, Ann, first off, let's just break down the case that's being heard today and talk about the implications here.
So lots at stake, Kira, today. We have more than 40 million borrowers are eligible for this student debt relief. $1.6 trillion is owed to the Education Department. That makes it a major bank. It's a big portfolio of loans. So what's at stake for these 40 million Americans? It's the ability to invest in a home. It's the ability to start a family and start your own retirement fund. A lot of students saying they can't afford to move into that middle class without help from the government. The only thing that the government has offered them so far is a lot of loan debt. Kira.
So then, Ann, it's such a big case, right? Because it impacts so many people. So let's just talk about the number of those individuals that this would benefit from this, and then what's at stake for them.
So, well, certainly what a lot of Americans are talking about is their ability to move forward financially, especially in a tough economy. So when I've talked to students, one of the things that they say is that they feel that their loan debt is this albatross, essentially, hanging over their necks. They don't have the ability to put their money elsewhere or move forward. And this is particularly for families who, if you don't come from wealth. So if you don't come from wealth, the cost of college is astronomically higher than it's been in recent decades. So when we're looking at student loan borrowers that take 20 years to pay out their loan, that's the average. About $30,000 is owed for the average borrower, but we have about a quarter of borrowers that owe more than that. They owe $50,000 or more. So a lot at stake for these families who say they want to be able to move forward and invest in their future, and they can't.
So how much do people owe on average?
So it is about $30,000 in debt that the average borrower owes of these 40 million borrowers. And just to put that in perspective, Kira, this is about the same population as California, the size of California, owing all of this money to the U.S. government, the U.S. government being a major lender. It surpasses auto loans, it surpasses credit card loans. So the statistic that really has hit me is that black borrowers in particular, 20 years after they start school, they still owe 95% of their loan. That's because they've struggled to find high-paying jobs and because of the interest rates tacked onto this. Now, of course, the argument from Republicans is that this shouldn't be a supplement to families that only went to college. What about people who chose not to go to college? That's their argument against this.
Yeah, the interest rates are a killer. Boy, you're taking me back to the 80s and how it took me a really long time to pay off those loans that I had. And Jay, you know, you were at the Supreme Court as well this morning. Tell me what people were telling you, especially those former students that are carrying this kind of debt.
Yeah, former students and current students were even there, Kira. I spoke with a freshman in college. A lot stayed the night to be at the Supreme Court early this morning. Some woke up very early this morning as well, traveling to the court there to make their voices heard about what they say is pivotal student debt relief that is helping them, as Ann said, plan out their financial future. I spoke with a few of them. Here's a little of what they told me.
It would take a lot of stress off my family. It'd take a lot of stress off of myself, really, and it really takes away the anxiety and stress of just having to think about it on a day-to-day basis.
Saving money, focusing on my health is one thing that I want to focus on. When you're in a debt like that, 53 grand, my mom has more than that, you can't focus on anything but that.
But the other people we spoke to there are lawmakers, are members of Congress, and we asked if this gets overturned, what does Congress do from here? We talked to Ayanna Pressley, Democrat of Massachusetts. She said she wants the Biden administration to take some kind of other executive action if the Supreme Court were to overturn this. She didn't specify what that would be, and also, of course, she said that she's optimistic the court won't overturn this. We also spoke with Republicans who said, look, they believe, as Ann laid out, that this is an illegal executive action on behalf of the president. And they told us that these borrowers, they believe, made this agreement and therefore need to pay it back. And that's notable because, look, if there were not anything future out of the Obama administration for student debt relief, if this were to get overturned by the courts, there would have to be some kind of law through Congress in theory, and Republicans control the House, and Republicans strongly against this, Kira.
And Jay, you know, this was one of President Biden's campaign promises, right? So what are lawmakers on Capitol Hill telling you, especially those who represent some of these states that are behind the lawsuits?
Well, we're hearing from Republicans writ large who say that, again, as I mentioned, that they don't want there to be any kind of further executive action from the president if this were to get overturned, and they are not going to support a law here in Congress to create some kind of student debt relief. We heard from Virginia Fox, who's the Republican chair of the Education and Workforce Committee, and she was blunt, and she said these students agreed to this debt, is what she told us, and therefore they need to pay it. And again, she said that this action on behalf of the president was illegal. We know Democrats, if the court rules against this plan, are going to push for some kind of action here in this building. But again, as with a lot of priorities from the White House, it will run up against that Republican-controlled House, Kira.
And Flaherty, Jay O'Brien, thank you both so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.